I grip the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turn white. My heart thuds painfully in my chest, and my mind races with disbelief, anger, and a raw kind of hurt I never thought I'd feel. The GPS tracker I installed on my wife Megan's car a week ago has led me to this rundown roadside motel, and the beeping signal on my phone confirms what my gut has been screaming for days. How did we end up here? 8 years of marriage, all shattered in the blink of an eye. I thought we were good, maybe not perfect, but solid enough. But the sight of her car parked here, among old sedans and motorcycles, feels like a punch in the gut. The foundation of our life together, the one I thought was rock solid, is cracking right before my eyes. I roll down the window, hoping the cool breeze will calm me down, but the rage bubbling inside is unrelenting. Memories flood my mind. Megan laughing with her head thrown back, her eyes sparkling with life. The quiet evenings on the porch, talking about dreams of a future that now seems like a cruel joke. My throat tightens, and I struggle to swallow the pain. A voice cuts through my spiral of thoughts. "Hey, buddy, you lost?" I snap my head up to see a grizzled man in a mechanic's uniform, watching me with curious eyes from the parking lot. I shake my head and force a smile, knowing full well that he can't see the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Nope, just waiting for someone." I lie, the words bitter on my tongue. He shrugs and walks away, but his presence forces me to regain some composure. This isn't the time or place for an emotional breakdown. I take a deep breath and think of Megan's laugh, her promises, and the way she looked me in the eyes when she said I was the only one for her. Anger and grief mix into something almost suffocating, but I have to hold it together. There's a private investigator nearby, hiding out to make sure things don't escalate, at least, not too far. I paid him well, but I didn't think I'd be leaning on his services so soon. The sound of a door slamming breaks through my haze. My eyes narrow on the motel entrance as two figures emerge. Megan, my wife, steps into the sunlight with a young man beside her. He's fit, with sandy blonde hair and a cocky grin. They're holding hands, laughing like they don't have a care in the world. I feel something break inside me. A part of me wants to storm over there, drag that guy out by his collar, and demand answers. But I can't. Instead, I reach for my phone and take a deep breath, steadying my hands enough to snap a few pictures. Evidence. I need it, not just for my divorce lawyer but for my own sanity, to make it real. Megan's eyes light up as she laughs at something he says, and that's when she leans in and kisses him. My stomach turns, and I'm suddenly glad I didn't eat breakfast. I drop my phone into the passenger seat, hands shaking, my mind struggling to accept that this is actually happening. I lean back in my seat, my heart breaking, and yet somehow, a plan already begins forming in my mind. This is going to end, but it's going to end on my terms. I force myself to breathe slowly, counting each breath as a way to keep from losing control. The calm I feel now isn't natural. It's forced. The kind of calm you get when the rage is so intense that it burns itself out and leaves you hollow. I take a moment, my mind working on autopilot, to think of the next move. Megan and her lover head toward his car, oblivious to the way my eyes are locked on them. They get into a shiny blue Audi, laughing like it's just another carefree day. I take a couple more pictures, capturing every smile, every touch, every bit of evidence I need to prove what's been happening. It's almost clinical, the way I do it. My heart is shattered, but my brain focuses on the steps, the proof, the planning. Maybe that's the only thing keeping me from shattering completely. The Audi pulls out of the parking lot, and I wait a few beats before starting my car. I'm careful, keeping a reasonable distance, but I follow them all the way to a small cafe a few miles away. I park my car across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I watch them walk inside. Megan rests her head on his shoulder for a brief moment, and he kisses her hair. It's an intimate gesture, one that feels like a dagger to my gut. The pain is excruciating, but the anger, the cold fury beneath, drives me forward. It's time to take action. I reach into the glove compartment and pull out my phone, dialing the private investigator I hired. It rings twice before he picks up. "James," I say, my voice coming out steadier than I feel. "They're at a cafe now. I've got some photos, but I might need you to tail them if they go somewhere else." James grunts in acknowledgement. Understood. I'm nearby. Want me to take over? Yes, I reply, grateful for the backup. I'm too close to this. I can't keep watching them like this. James doesn't offer words of comfort. He's not paid to be compassionate, and frankly, I don't need it. I just need him to keep an eye on Megan while I gather myself, while I figure out how to confront the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. Ending the call, I sit there in silence, my thoughts racing. My mind flashes back to moments that now seem tainted. Our wedding day, her tearful vows, the way we used to laugh together on lazy Sunday mornings. I'd never have imagined her capable of this kind of betrayal. But even in this darkness, a small, determined part of me refuses to crumble. I've worked too hard to build this life, to love her with every fiber of my being, only to be humiliated. She won't walk away from this unscathed. She made her choice, and now, I'll make mine. I lean back in my seat, letting the chaos in my head settle. There's no way to change what she did, but I'll be damned if I let her break me. I'll be smart, I'll be strategic, and I'll make sure the truth comes to light in a way that she can't hide from. As I stare at the cafe, a storm of emotions swirling inside me, I know this is only the beginning. The end of our marriage will be nothing like she expected, and it's going to be on my terms. I drive away from the cafe, my mind numb and my chest tight. I'm trying to sort through the whirlwind of emotions, but it feels like I'm standing in the eye of a storm. Megan's laughter still echoes in my head, and the image of her with that younger guy haunts me, stinging like salt on an open wound. I grip the wheel harder, focusing on the road and trying to keep my thoughts from spiraling out of control. Back at home, our house feels different. The warm and welcoming place we built together now feels empty, foreign, like a shell of a dream that has already crumbled. The pictures on the walls, our memories captured in frames, mock me. How many of those smiles were real? How many moments did she share with me while she was hiding her affair? I walk into our bedroom, the bed still neatly made from when I left for work this morning. The sheets smell faintly of her perfume, and I feel my gut twist. Everything feels tainted, like the betrayal has seeped into the walls and poisoned the air. I sit on the edge of the bed, hands clasped, trying to keep from breaking apart. I pull out my phone, opening my contact list. Scrolling down, I find the name I've been avoiding for the last half hour. My best friend, Greg. He's been with me through everything: college, job struggles, the ups and downs of my marriage. If there's anyone who can help me make sense of this mess, it's him. I hesitate, thumb hovering over the call button. How do you even start that conversation? How do you tell your best friend that the person you trusted the most has ripped your heart out? But before I can change my mind, I press the button, and the line rings. Tyler. Greg's voice comes through, cheerful and familiar. What's up, man? I take a shaky breath. Greg, I manage, my voice cracking. I need you. Can you come over? There's a pause, and I can almost hear the worry settling into his voice. Yeah, of course. You okay? No, I admit, the word heavy with more than just pain. Not even close. I'll be there in 15, he says, and I hear his keys jangling. I hang up, grateful but also terrified. Saying it out loud will make it real, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that. While I wait, I move through the house, trying to keep myself busy. I straighten the throw pillows, wipe down the kitchen counter, anything to keep from focusing on the broken pieces of my marriage. I pass by our bookshelf and pause, my eyes catching on a photo of us from our honeymoon in Hawaii. Megan is laughing in the picture, her arms wrapped around my neck, and I'm grinning like the happiest man alive. That memory feels like a sick joke now. The doorbell rings, and I almost jump out of my skin. I rush to the door, opening it to find Greg standing there, concern etched deep into his features. He takes one look at my face and pulls me into a hug. Talk to me, he says, his voice steady and comforting. We move to the living room, and I sit down heavily on the couch, Greg taking the seat across from me. I tell him everything: the suspicions, the GPS tracking, the motel, the cafe, the pictures. My voice shakes, and I feel the weight of the betrayal crushing me all over again. Greg listens in silence, his jaw tightening as I go on. When I finish, he lets out a slow breath. Jesus, man, he mutters, running a hand through his hair. I don't even know what to say. Me neither, I admit, my hands trembling. I don't know what to do, Greg. She destroyed everything, and I don't even understand why. He leans forward, his expression hardening. Then we make sure she doesn't get away with this. You need a plan. And whatever it is, I'm here for you. Every step. I look into his eyes, seeing the fierce loyalty there, and I realize I'm not as alone as I thought. There's still a part of me that wants to crumble, to let the grief swallow me whole. But Greg's strength gives me something to hold on to. Greg doesn't waste time. He gets up, pacing the length of my living room, already brainstorming. His energy is relentless, and I'm grateful for it. If he's angry, it's only because he cares. And right now, I need that fire. First things first, he says, hands clasped behind his head. You need to get ahead of this. Protect yourself legally and financially. You've got assets, investments. You can't let Megan walk away with half of everything after what she's done. I nod, though my mind is still a mess. I know, I say quietly. I don't even know where to start. Greg's face softens, and he sits beside me. You don't have to figure it out alone, man. I know a good divorce lawyer. My cousin went through a nasty split last year, and this guy helped him come out of it in one piece. Want me to give you his number? I close my eyes, feeling the weight of the situation. Divorce. The word tastes bitter, but it's becoming an unavoidable reality. Megan didn't just break my heart. She shattered our life together. I have to face that. Yeah, I say, my voice cracking. I'll take it. Greg pulls out his phone, tapping at the screen. His name's Alex Ritter. He's tough but fair. Exactly what you need right now. He hands me his phone, and I type the number into my contacts, feeling a flicker of determination. We sit in silence for a moment, the gravity of the situation sinking in. My mind races with everything that needs to be done. The evidence I've gathered, the legal mess, the financial implications. But beneath it all is a raw, aching wound that refuses to heal. Why, Greg? I finally ask, my voice low. Why would she do this? We had our problems, sure, but nothing that should have led to this. Greg's expression darkens, and he leans forward, elbows on his knees. People change, Tyler. Sometimes, the person you thought you knew becomes someone else entirely. It sucks and it's unfair, but you can't let it destroy you. I want to believe him, but right now, the pain feels too deep. I reach for my phone, staring at the photos I took earlier, hoping they'll make this nightmare feel real. But all they do is deepen the sense of betrayal. Greg watches me for a moment before changing the subject. You mentioned a private investigator. Has he found anything else? I shake my head. Not yet, but I'm supposed to meet him tomorrow. He said he'd have more details by then. I just don't know if I can handle hearing it. You have to, Greg says firmly. The more you know, the better you can prepare. You didn't deserve this, but you have to fight back. The word fight sticks in my mind. I've never been one to seek revenge or relish in conflict, but Megan's betrayal has pushed me to a place I never imagined I'd be. Part of me feels disgusted at the thought of strategizing, gathering evidence, and preparing for a legal battle. But another part, a part that's slowly gaining strength, wants to make sure Megan and her young lover face the consequences of what they've done. Greg stands and claps me on the shoulder. You're stronger than this, Tyler. We'll get through it together. For now, let's grab a beer, sit on your deck, and figure out the next steps. Deal? I nod, a small, grateful smile breaking through. Deal. We move out to the deck, and as we crack open 2 cold bottles, the evening sun casts a warm glow over the yard. It's a temporary distraction, but it's one I need. Greg talks about anything and everything to keep my mind off the heartbreak. Sports, our college days, that time we nearly set his car on fire while trying to grill burgers on the tailgate. For the first time in what feels like forever, I let out a genuine laugh. It feels strange, almost foreign, but I know it's a step toward healing. Even if the road ahead is dark, I'm not facing it alone. The next morning, the heaviness of reality hits me like a freight train. The temporary reprieve from laughter with Greg feels distant, and the ache in my chest is back, raw and unrelenting. I force myself out of bed, shower, and dress in my usual work attire, even though it feels like I'm just going through the motions. Today is the day I meet with James, the private investigator, and I have no idea what more he's uncovered. My phone buzzes with a reminder, and I notice a text from Megan. "Morning, babe. Hope your day is good. Love you." I stare at the words, feeling bile rise in my throat. How dare she act as if everything is normal, as if she's still the loving wife she pretends to be? I don't reply. Instead, I grab my keys, lock the door behind me, and head to a small diner off Main Street. It's a quiet spot, tucked away and mostly frequented by locals. James chose it for a reason: privacy. He's waiting for me at a corner booth, dressed in a nondescript black jacket with a ball cap pulled low over his eyes. "Morning," he greets me, standing briefly as I slide into the booth across from him. His expression is neutral, but his eyes are sharp, taking in every flicker of emotion on my face. "Morning," I echo, though my voice sounds strained. "What VE you got for me?" James pulls a thick manila folder from his side and places it on the table between us. My stomach churns at the sight of it, a physical manifestation of my worst fears. He doesn't speak right away, just gives me a moment to collect myself. When I finally nod, giving him the go-ahead, he opens the folder. "I tailed your wife and her companion over the last few days," he says, his voice low and professional. "They've been careful, but not careful enough. Here's what I've found." He slides several photos across the table, each one like a punch to the gut. Megan and Justin, the younger man I saw her with yesterday, are in them. They're holding hands, leaning in close at a secluded park, even sharing a passionate kiss in a parking lot. It's undeniable. It's real. James continues, laying out details, timestamps, locations, and even snippets of conversation he managed to overhear. He talks about their hotel visits, how they met up at lunch when they both should have been working, and even how Justin seemed to brag about their affair to one of his friends. It's like watching my marriage unravel in front of me, piece by piece, and I can feel the walls closing in. "She's been sneaking around with this guy for a while," James finishes, his voice softer now. "I'm sorry, Tyler." I swallow hard, my hands gripping the edge of the table. It takes everything in me not to fall apart right there. My heart is shattered, but beneath the devastation, something else takes root. Anger. A fierce, burning rage that threatens to consume me. She didn't just betray me. She did it openly, with no care for how it might destroy our life together. I clear my throat, trying to keep my voice steady. "Thank you, James. I needed to know." He nods, closing the folder and sliding it toward me. "What's your next move?" he asks. I don't have an answer. My mind spins with possibilities. Talking to Alex Ritter, the divorce lawyer Greg recommended, coming clean to my family, confronting Megan. Each option feels heavy, but I know I have to choose a path. And soon. James watches me carefully. "If you need more surveillance or anything else, let me know. But if you're ready to take action, now's the time. Waiting too long could complicate things." "I get it," I reply, though the thought of acting still feels like stepping off a cliff. "I'll figure it out. Thanks for everything." He stands, offering me a handshake. I take it, grateful for his support, and watch as he exits the diner. For a few minutes, I sit there alone, staring at the folder in front of me. This folder holds the evidence of Megan's betrayal, but it also holds the key to my future. The question is, how will I use it? With a heavy sigh, I gather my things and head out. Whatever happens next, I'm done being passive. Megan made her choices, and now it's my turn to make mine. I sit in my car for a few minutes, staring out at the quiet street as the weight of everything presses down on me. The manila folder feels like it's burning a hole in my passenger seat, the evidence of betrayal now a tangible, undeniable thing. I grip the steering wheel, the anger from earlier simmering just beneath the surface. It feels like I'm teetering on the edge of losing control, but I force myself to focus. My phone buzzes again. It's Megan, sending me a photo of her lunch with a simple caption, "Just thinking of you." The bile rises in my throat, and I have to take a moment to calm myself before I do something rash, like drive straight to her workplace and demand answers. Instead, I tuck my phone away, knowing that any reaction now will be too raw, too emotional. I have to be smarter than that. I start the car and head toward the office of Alex Ritter, the divorce attorney Greg recommended. It's a sleek building downtown. One of those places where you just know everyone wears tailored suits and cuts through negotiations like a hot knife through butter. I park, take a deep breath, and make my way inside. The receptionist, a composed woman with her hair pulled back into a severe bun, greets me with a professional smile. "Mr. Clinton, correct?" she asks. I nod, and she gestures toward a glass-walled office down the hall. "Mr. Ritter is expecting you." Alex Ritter stands as I enter. He's in his early 40s, with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit, and he shakes my hand firmly. "Tyler, good to meet you," he says. His voice is confident, the kind that makes you feel like he's already won whatever fight you've brought to him. I settle into the chair across from his desk, feeling more exposed than I expected. I've never had to do this before, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am, trying to keep my composure as I explain everything. Megan's affair, the evidence I've gathered, the prenup we signed years ago. Alex listens intently, taking notes and nodding at the right moments. When I finish, he leans back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "The good news," he starts, "is that your prenup works in your favor, especially with infidelity clauses. If you can prove she's been unfaithful, which it seems you can, you'll walk away with most of your assets intact." Relief washes over me, but it's tinged with a bitterness I can't quite shake. This isn't how I wanted things to go. What about her? I ask. I mean, will she try to fight this? Alex's eyes narrow slightly. "She can try," he admits. "But the courts don't look kindly on infidelity when there's solid evidence. Your wife may try to paint you as unreasonable or controlling, but as long as you've played things carefully, we should be fine." I nod, but the word controlling sticks in my mind. Megan always loved to make it sound like I was the one with unreasonable expectations, even when I just wanted to communicate better or address issues. The realization hits me hard. She may try to weaponize that narrative against me. "What do you suggest?" I ask, my voice feeling steadier than I thought it would. Alex leans forward, his hands folded on the desk. "You need to stay calm and strategic," he says. "Gather your financial records, secure any important documents, and consider whether you want to move out temporarily. It'll show the court that you're being reasonable, not the one escalating the conflict. I think about our home, about how the walls feel tainted now, but the idea of leaving still feels wrong. Why should I have to be the one to leave?" But Alex's advice is sound, and I know he's right. This is about more than just pride. "I'll start on that," I say. "What about public perception? We work at the same hospital. I don't want this to ruin everything there." Alex raises an eyebrow. "Public perception can be tricky," he admits, "but the truth will come out. If she tries to spin things, we'll be ready to counter it. For now, be professional. Don't discuss your marriage with colleagues, and don't do anything that can be used against you." I let out a breath, feeling like I'm finally starting to get a grip on things. "Okay," I say. "I'll follow your lead." We finish up, and as I leave Alex's office, a sense of grim determination settles over me. I'm not just a victim of Megan's betrayal anymore. I'm taking back control, one step at a time. And if she thinks I'm going to go quietly, she's got another thing coming. I leave Alex Ritter's office feeling more prepared but far from at peace. There's still a storm raging inside me, a cocktail of anger, sadness, and disbelief that refuses to settle. But now, at least, I have a plan. And in this mess, a plan feels like a lifeline. I grip the steering wheel as I drive home, replaying the lawyer's advice in my mind. Stay calm, stay strategic, and don't let emotions get the better of you. The house is quiet when I get back, eerily so. I walk through the living room, my footsteps echoing off the hardwood floors, and head straight to our bedroom. It feels colder, emptier, even though nothing has changed since this morning. The bed is still made, the scent of Megan's perfume faintly lingering in the air. I swallow the lump in my throat and start following Alex's advice, gathering important documents, securing my financial records, and making sure everything is accounted for. I don't know how long I'm at it, an hour, maybe two, when I hear the front door open. My heart stops for a second, and I stand frozen, listening to the familiar sound of Megan's keys dropping into the dish by the door. Her footsteps echo in the hallway, growing louder until she stops in the doorway of our bedroom. "Hey," she says, her voice cheerful, but there's a hint of surprise at finding me home. "You're back early." I turn to look at her, and for a moment, I'm struck by how normal she looks. Her hair is tied back. She's wearing her favorite blue blouse, and there's a smile on her face. If I didn't know any better, I'd think she was just my loving wife, coming home to me after a regular day. But now I know the truth, and that smile feels like a lie. "Yeah," I say, my voice carefully even. "Finished up early and thought I'd get some things done around here." She sets her bag down, eyeing the piles of documents I've spread out on the bed. "What's all this?" she asks, her tone light, but with a thread of curiosity that feels off. I force a smile. "Just making sure everything's in order," I reply. "You know how it is, being prepared." Her eyes flicker, and I wonder if she senses the tension in the air. She hesitates for a moment before coming over to kiss me on the cheek. The touch sends a chill through me, and I have to fight the urge to pull away. How many times has she kissed me with those same lips that kissed him? The thought makes my skin crawl. "I'm going to take a shower," she says, her voice softer now. "Long day." I nod, watching as she disappears into the bathroom. The moment the door closes, I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. My hands are shaking, and I clench them into fists, trying to steady myself. Every moment with her feels like a game of pretending, and I don't know how long I can keep it up. I step out of the bedroom, needing some space. I walk to the kitchen, grab a glass, and pour myself some water, hoping it will help cool the fire inside me. The shower starts running, and I hear Megan humming, like she's perfectly at ease. I grip the counter, trying to suppress the wave of fury that threatens to crash over me. How dare she act so normal, so comfortable, when she's the one who tore our life apart? But I know Alex is right. I can't let her see how much she's gotten to me. I have to stay ahead of her, keep the upper hand. The water runs for what feels like an eternity, and I use the time to ground myself. By the time Megan comes out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel with her hair wet, I've managed to smooth my expression into something neutral. She gives me a smile, one that used to make my heart feel full. Now, it just feels empty. "Feel like ordering in tonight?" she asks. "Maybe that Thai place we like?" The casual way she suggests it, as if everything is fine, makes me want to scream. But instead, I nod. "Sure," I say, my voice calm, even though every part of me is anything but. She beams, her smile bright and genuine, and I wonder if she really thinks I'm that naive. Does she think I haven't noticed her slipping away, or does she just not care? I sit down at the dining table, watching her as she grabs her phone to place the order. The life I thought we had is slipping further from my grasp, but I won't let her take everything from me. Not without a fight. I watch as Megan places the call to our favorite Thai restaurant, her voice cheerful and full of warmth. She laughs at something the person on the other end says, and I can't help but feel like I'm living in some twisted reality. The woman standing in our kitchen, the one who's acting like the perfect, loving wife, is the same woman who's been sneaking off to be with another man. It's surreal, and it makes my blood boil. When she hangs up, she turns to me with a bright smile. "Food will be here in about 45 minutes, she says, her eyes sparkling like they always have. If I didn't know better, I'd be fooled, and that realization stabs me like a knife. I force a smile, nodding as I take a sip of my water. "Sounds great," I say, my voice steady despite the rage churning inside me. Every moment of this act is torture, but I know I have to stay composed. Alex's words echo in my mind. "Be strategic. Don't let her know you're on to her." Megan moves around the kitchen, opening a bottle of wine and pouring herself a glass. She pauses, the glass halfway to her lips, and looks at me. "Want some?" she asks, tilting the bottle in my direction. I shake my head. "I'm good," I reply, watching as she shrugs and takes a long sip. The way she acts so carefree, so completely unbothered, makes me wonder if she even feels guilt. Does she think I'm oblivious? Or has she convinced herself that her affair doesn't matter? "So," she says, leaning against the counter, "how was work today?" I clench my jaw, willing myself to stay calm. "It was fine," I say, trying not to choke on the bitterness that wants to seep into my voice. Busy, but nothing too crazy. She nods, taking another sip of her wine. That's good. Mine was pretty hectic, she says, and I can't help but wonder if hectic is code for sneaking around with her affair partner. The thought makes my stomach twist, but I keep my face neutral. We fall into a strained silence, and I realize this is the first time I've truly noticed how uncomfortable it is to be alone with her now. The woman I once loved, the one I thought I knew better than anyone, has become a stranger. The realization is gut-wrenching, but it also fuels the fire inside me. This isn't the life I want, and I'm not going to let her continue to play me for a fool. The doorbell rings, breaking the tension. Megan perks up, setting her glass down. That must be the food, she says, her voice bright as she heads to the door. I watch her go, my heart pounding. Every step I take, every breath, feels heavy with the weight of everything I know. I've already decided that I'm done being passive, that I won't let her deceit define me. But the confrontation is coming, and I can feel it building like a storm on the horizon. Megan comes back into the kitchen, balancing the bags of Thai food with a smile. Smells amazing, she says, setting the bags down. She starts unpacking the containers, the familiar scent filling the room, and for a moment, it feels like everything is normal. Like we're just two people in love, sharing a simple meal together. But that illusion shatters when she looks up at me, her eyes meeting mine. There's a flicker of something there, something that looks like worry or uncertainty, and it sends a jolt through me. Maybe she's not as confident as she seems. Maybe she senses that something is wrong. I take a seat at the table as she brings over the food, my mind racing. We start eating in silence, the only sound the clink of forks against plates. It's almost unbearable, this tension between us, and I know that something has to give. Megan takes a sip of her wine, her gaze flicking to me. You seem different tonight, she says, her voice careful. Everything okay? The question hangs in the air, and I have to fight the urge to laugh. Different? Yeah, I'm different. I'm a man who just found out his wife has been lying, cheating, and tearing apart everything we built together. But I keep my expression steady, my fork pausing mid-air. Just tired, I say, offering her a small smile. It's been a long day. She nods, but I can tell she's not entirely convinced. Her eyes linger on me a moment longer, searching, and I wonder if she's starting to feel the pressure. Good. Let her wonder. Let her feel the cracks in the foundation she's been so carefully hiding from me. This is far from over. It's only just begun. The rest of dinner is tense, a silent battlefield where every forkful of food feels like a test of endurance. Megan keeps sneaking glances at me, her gaze wary, as if she's trying to read my mind. I force myself to eat, even though every bite feels like gravel. My appetite is gone, but I can't let her see how much she's gotten to me. When we finish, she starts gathering up the plates. I'll handle the dishes, she offers, flashing a smile that's so normal it makes my skin crawl. It's the kind of smile she's given me 1,000 times, but now I wonder how much of it was ever genuine. Thanks, I say, pushing back from the table. I'm going to go out for a bit. Clear my head. Megan freezes for a fraction of a second, her hands gripping the plates. It's subtle, but I catch it. Out? She asks, her voice a bit too casual. Where to? I shrug, keeping my tone even. Just for a walk. Need some fresh air. I can see her trying to read me, trying to figure out if there's more to my words. But she doesn't press, and I'm grateful. The last thing I need right now is a conversation that could spiral into something I'm not ready for. I grab my jacket and head out the front door, the cool evening air biting at my skin. It's almost a relief, the crispness of it cutting through the haze in my mind. I walk aimlessly, hands stuffed in my pockets, my footsteps echoing in the empty streets of our neighborhood. The houses here all look the same, neat and pristine, with well-kept lawns and perfect driveways. It's the kind of place that's supposed to represent stability, family, and love. A cruel irony, given the turmoil inside me. My phone buzzes in my pocket, and I pull it out, half expecting another message from Megan. Instead, it's Greg, checking in. How's it going? Need backup? I manage a small smile, grateful for my friend's loyalty, but I text back, just surviving the storm. I'll fill you in later. I walk for a while, letting my feet carry me wherever they want, until I end up at a small park we used to visit together. The memories hit me like a sledgehammer. Picnics on sunny afternoons, Megan's laughter as we played with a frisbee, the quiet moments when we just lie on a blanket and stare up at the sky. I feel that familiar ache in my chest, the one that reminds me of everything I've lost, or maybe everything I never truly had. I sit down on a bench, running my hands over my face. The anger, the sadness, the betrayal, they're all tangled up inside me, a mess I can't seem to unravel. I know I should be focused on the practical things, like securing my finances, following Alex's advice, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. But right now, all I can feel is the overwhelming sense of loss. The woman I loved, the life we built together, it's all slipping away. My phone buzzes again. This time, it's James, the private investigator. Need to update you when you're ready, the message reads. It's a simple text, but it hits me like a brick. There's more to know, more to face, and I can't run from it. I take a deep breath and type out a response. Call me. I'm ready. The phone rings a moment later, and I answer, bracing myself. James, I say, my voice low. Tyler, he greets me. There's a pause, and I can hear him shifting, as if he's hesitant. I've got some new information for you. It's complicated. Go on, I urge, my heart pounding. The word complicated never bodes well. I did some digging on Justin Banks, James says, his voice professional and detached. The guy Megan's been seeing. Turns out, he's not just a medical student. He's got a bit of a reputation. He's been involved in affairs before, and there are rumors he's used his charm to get financial favors from older partners. The words make my blood run cold. So, Megan's affair partner isn't just some random fling. He's a manipulator. Someone who knows how to play people, use them. My jaw clenches, the anger surging all over again. Anything else? I ask, my voice dangerously calm. James hesitates. I'm still digging, but I wanted you to know. He's not a guy you want to underestimate. And Tyler, be careful. People like him can be unpredictable. I nod, even though he can't see me. Thanks, James. Keep me updated. I end the call, my hands shaking. So Megan didn't just cheat. She got involved with a man who's a professional liar, a manipulator. The betrayal cuts deeper now, but there's also a sense of grim determination settling over me. This isn't just about heartbreak anymore. It's about protecting myself from a situation that's getting uglier by the second. I stand up from the bench, my mind racing. I have to be ready for whatever comes next. Megan's choices have set us on a collision course, and I won't let myself be blindsided again. As I make my way back home, the cool night air feels sharper, the world around me more uncertain. But one thing is clear. I'm done playing the fool. Whatever happens, I'll be prepared. I head back to the house, my steps heavy but my mind sharper than it's been in days. The news from James about Justin Banks is like gasoline poured on an already raging fire. The thought of Megan getting tangled up with someone who's a known manipulator makes my blood boil. Was she just a pawn in his game? Or was she a willing participant, choosing to ignore the risk because of some thrill? Either way, the fallout is real, and I'm the one standing in the ashes. I step into the house, the warmth of the living room contrasting harshly with the cold tension still gripping my chest. Megan is curled up on the couch, a blanket draped over her legs, and a mindless reality show playing on the TV. She turns as I close the door, her eyes flicking to me with a look of uncertainty. You okay? She asks, her voice softer than usual. It's almost enough to make me laugh. Now she's worried about me? Yeah, I reply, shrugging out of my jacket and hanging it on the hook. Just needed some air. She watches me for a moment, and I can feel her trying to read me. The tension between us is thicker than ever, like a taut wire ready to snap, but I keep my expression neutral. I won't give her the satisfaction of seeing how much she's wrecked me. Not yet. Come sit, she says, patting the spot next to her. We can watch something together. It's such a normal thing to say, such a casual invitation, but it makes my stomach twist. How long has she been pretending like this? How many nights has she acted like everything is fine, all while sneaking around behind my back? I take a deep breath, steeling myself. Playing along is exhausting, but I know I have to keep it up, at least until I have everything in place. Sure, I say, forcing a smile as I sit down next to her. The couch feels like a stage, every movement rehearsed, every word carefully chosen. Megan shifts closer, resting her head on my shoulder, and I have to fight the urge to pull away. Her touch, once comforting, now feels like poison seeping into my skin. We sit there, the TV droning on about some trivial drama that feels like a cruel parallel to my own life. My mind isn't on the show, it's racing through all the things I need to do. Meet with Alex again, secure the evidence, make sure my financials are airtight. And then there's the question of how to confront her. As I think about it, I realize I don't just want a confrontation for the sake of it. I want answers. I want to know why. Was it a moment of weakness? Was our marriage ever real to her? Or has she always craved something more? Something I couldn't give her? Tyler? Megan's voice pulls me out of my thoughts, and I realize she's looking up at me, her brow furrowed. You seem so distant tonight. I glance down at her, my heart pounding. The urge to tell her I know everything, to demand an explanation right here and now, is almost overpowering. But I swallow it down, keeping my voice steady. Just thinking about work, I lie, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. She sighs, her expression softening. You work so hard, she murmurs, reaching up to run her fingers through my hair. It's a familiar gesture, one that used to comfort me, but now it makes my skin crawl. How many times has she touched him like this? How many lies has she told to cover her tracks? I force myself to endure it, to play along. Yeah, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Long days. She pulls back slightly, studying my face. For a moment, I wonder if she can see through the facade, if she knows that I'm on the verge of unraveling. But then she just nods, her eyes searching mine for a moment longer before she settles back into the couch, her attention drifting back to the TV. I exhale slowly, the tension coiling tighter around me. This game of pretense is eating me alive, but I know it's necessary. I can't let her see the cracks. Not yet. The rest of the evening passes in a blur, and eventually, Megan heads upstairs to get ready for bed. I linger in the living room, staring at the darkened TV screen, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on me. The betrayal, the lies, the manipulation. It's all too much. But I'm not broken. Not yet. And I won't let her or Justin Banks destroy the life I worked so hard to build. As I finally make my way upstairs, the resolve hardens inside me. The confrontation is coming, and when it does, I'll be ready. I stand at the foot of the stairs, staring up at the dim hallway that leads to our bedroom. The house is silent, save for the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen and the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards. It's almost eerie, the quiet, as if even the walls know that something is wrong. Taking a deep breath, I ascend the stairs one step at a time, the weight of everything pressing down on my shoulders. The hallway feels longer than usual, the shadows stretching out like they're trying to pull me back, but I push forward. When I reach our bedroom door, I pause, listening. Megan is inside, humming softly to herself, and I hear the rustle of fabric as she changes into her pajamas. It's such a normal sound, one I've heard countless times before, but tonight it feels almost mocking. My grip tightens on the doorframe, my knuckles whitening. The anger that's been simmering beneath the surface flares up, hot and consuming, but I force it back down. Not yet. I step into the room, and Megan turns to face me. She's wearing one of my old t-shirts, the one she always claimed was her favorite because it smelled like me. The sight of her in it, standing there looking so innocent and familiar, nearly breaks me. But I've learned better now. I know the truth lurking beneath that facade. She gives me a tired smile, brushing a strand of hair out of her face. "Ready for bed?" she asks, her voice soft. I nod, my throat tight. Yeah, I manage, moving toward my side of the bed. The routine feels so painfully normal, yet everything has changed. I pull back the covers and slip in, trying to ignore the way my heart is pounding in my chest. Megan climbs in beside me, reaching over to turn off the bedside lamp. Darkness floods the room, but it doesn't bring the usual comfort. Instead, it feels suffocating, the tension between us a palpable thing. We lie there in silence, the distance between us vast despite the few inches separating our bodies. I close my eyes, my mind racing. My phone is on the nightstand, and I think of the folder full of evidence, of Alex's advice, and of James's warnings. My life has become a web of lies and strategies, and I can't help but wonder how long it will be before everything snaps. Megan shifts beside me, rolling onto her side to face me. Her breath is warm against my shoulder, and I feel her hand slide across my chest, coming to rest over my heart. The touch is almost unbearable, but I don't move. "I love you, you know," she whispers, her voice thick with sleep. The words feel like a knife twisting in my gut. How can she say that? How can she lie so easily, even now, when I know everything? My jaw clenches, and I have to remind myself to breathe. Her hand lingers on my chest for a moment before she drifts off, her breathing evening out as she falls asleep. I stare up at the ceiling, the darkness pressing in on me. Her betrayal is a heavy weight, but so is the love I once felt for her. A part of me wants to believe that we can fix this, that there's some explanation that will make it all make sense. But deep down, I know that's not true. Love doesn't survive this kind of deception, this level of betrayal. As the minutes tick by, I find myself unable to sleep. The anger and hurt are too raw, too consuming, and I know that staying here, lying next to her, is only making it worse. Carefully, I slide out of bed, doing my best not to wake her. Megan stirs slightly but doesn't wake, and I feel a twisted sense of relief. I slip out of the bedroom and head back downstairs, needing to put some space between us. The living room is dark, but I don't bother turning on any lights. Instead, I sink onto the couch, my head in my hands, and try to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. I know the confrontation is inevitable. I know I need to be prepared for whatever comes after. But right now, sitting in the dark and feeling the weight of everything I've lost, I wonder if I'll ever be ready. The silence of the living room wraps around me, pressing down on my chest like a heavy blanket. I sit there for what feels like hours, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts I can't seem to escape from. Every time I close my eyes, I see Megan and Justin, laughing, touching, sharing moments she used to share with me. The images cut deep, making the pain fresh all over again. I rub my hands over my face, trying to force myself to think logically. I can't afford to fall apart. Megan has already shattered our life, but I won't let her take everything from me. I promised myself I'd be strategic, that I'd follow Alex's advice and stay a step ahead of her. That's what I need to focus on now. My phone vibrates on the coffee table, pulling me out of my spiraling thoughts. I grab it, my pulse quickening when I see James's name on the screen. A late-night call from the private investigator isn't a good sign. "James," I answer, keeping my voice low. "Sorry to bother you this late," he says, his voice calm but serious. "But I thought you'd want to know. Justin was spotted leaving a bar downtown, and he wasn't alone." My grip tightens on the phone. "What do you mean?" James sighs, as if trying to soften the blow. "He was with another woman, not Megan. They were affectionate." The information hits me like a brick, and I feel a strange mix of emotions: anger, confusion, and a twisted sense of betrayal on Megan's behalf. I shouldn't feel anything for her after what she's done to me, but knowing that Justin is playing her too makes my heart ache in a way I can't explain. "Are you sure?" I ask, needing confirmation, even though I know James wouldn't call without being certain. "Positive," he replies. "I have photos. I'll send them your way if you want." I hesitate, then exhale. "Yeah, send them over." The call ends, and a moment later, my phone buzzes with incoming images. I open them, my jaw clenching as I take in the sight of Justin, Megan's so-called perfect lover, with his arm around a blonde woman outside a bar. They're laughing, his hand resting on her waist, and the kiss they share is unmistakable. I feel my anger boiling over, but this time, it's not just directed at Megan. It's at Justin too, this man who not only helped ruin my marriage, but is also deceiving my wife in his own twisted way. He's playing her, just like she played me. The irony is bitter and painful. I lean back on the couch, my mind racing. Megan has no idea that the man she's risking everything for isn't who she thinks he is. She believes she's found something new, something exciting, but in reality, she's just another pawn in Justin's game. A part of me feels a sick sense of satisfaction at the thought of confronting her with this, of watching her face when she realizes she's been played. But another part of me, the one that still remembers how much I loved her, can't help but feel pity. Her betrayal doesn't deserve my sympathy, but the thought of her being hurt, even by someone else, twists my gut in ways I can't control. I run a hand through my hair, trying to piece together how this changes things. Does it give me more leverage? Does it make any of this easier? Or is it just another painful layer to an already devastating betrayal? The sound of footsteps on the stairs makes me freeze. Megan's light steps echo in the quiet house, and a moment later, she appears at the top of the stairs, her eyes sleepy and concerned. "Tyler," she calls, her voice hesitant. "Are you okay?" I shove my phone back into my pocket, masking the turmoil inside me. I don't have the strength to confront her now, not when the anger and confusion are still so raw. But the confrontation is coming, and it'll be even more complicated now. "Yeah," I reply, my voice steady. "Just couldn't sleep." She steps closer, her bare feet soft on the hardwood floor. "I noticed you were gone," she says, wrapping her arms around herself as if she feels the cold I'm projecting. "Come back to bed?" The request feels almost absurd. After everything, she still wants to pretend we're okay. I look at her, this woman I once adored, and wonder how we ended up here, two people pretending in a house full of lies. But I nod, pushing myself off the couch. "Yeah," I say, the lie falling from my lips like it's nothing. "I'm coming." I follow her back up the stairs, my heart pounding, and I know that whatever happens next, I have to be ready. The truth is about to unravel, and when it does, none of us will be the same. The rest of the night passes in a restless blur. Lying in bed next to Megan, I can't stop replaying everything in my mind. The way Justin was caught with another woman, the irony of Megan's betrayal tangled up in yet another web of deceit. Every breath feels heavy, and the darkness around me only amplifies the chaos inside my head. Megan shifts in her sleep, murmuring something I can't quite hear, and I feel the bed dip beneath her movement. I can't help but wonder if she dreams peacefully, unaware of the storm she's created, or if there's some guilt that keeps her up at night. It's a question that gnaws at me, but I don't let myself dwell on it for too long. She made her choices, and now it's time for me to make mine. When morning finally comes, the sunlight streaming through the curtains feels almost mocking. Another day, another facade to keep up. Megan gets out of bed first, yawning as she stretches and makes her way to the bathroom. I watch her go, the image of her in my t-shirt, her hair tousled, a painful reminder of everything we once had. I get up too, heading downstairs to make coffee. The routine feels automatic, but today there's a simmering energy beneath the surface. I need to talk to Greg, update Alex on the new development, and prepare myself for whatever comes next. My phone buzzes on the kitchen counter, and I see a message from Greg. "Morning, man. Any updates?" I take a moment to reply, my fingers tapping out the words. "Plenty. Can we meet today?" Greg's response comes quickly. "Of course. Usual spot in an hour?" "Perfect," I reply, feeling a sense of relief that I'll have someone to talk to. Someone who knows everything and won't judge me for the mess my life has become. Megan comes downstairs a few minutes later, freshly showered and dressed for work. She gives me a smile that feels forced, like she's testing the waters. "You seemed restless last night," she says, her voice carefully neutral. I shrug, keeping my expression calm. "Just had a lot on my mind." She nods, pouring herself a cup of coffee and leaning against the counter. "Anything you want to talk about?" I almost laugh at the absurdity of the question. Does she really want to know, or is she just playing her part in this twisted charade? Instead, I shake my head. "No, I'm good," I say, sipping my coffee to hide the bitterness that wants to escape. There's a beat of silence, and I can feel her eyes on me, searching for something. But before she can say anything else, her phone buzzes on the counter. She grabs it quickly, her expression shifting as she reads whatever message just came through. Her smile falters for a split second, but she recovers quickly, setting her phone down and giving me another forced smile. "I should get going," she says, her voice a little too bright. "Early meeting." I nod, watching as she grabs her purse and keys. "Have a good day," I say, the words empty but necessary. "You too," she replies, her eyes lingering on mine for just a moment too long before she heads out the door. The moment it closes behind her, I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. I sit at the kitchen table for a few minutes, letting the silence settle around me. The weight of everything feels heavier in the daylight, but the anger keeps me moving. I have to keep pushing forward, one step at a time. An hour later, I'm at the small coffee shop where Greg and I always meet. He's already there, sitting at our usual table in the corner, a cup of black coffee in front of him. He looks up when I walk in, concern etched across his face. "Tyler," he says, standing up to give me a quick, firm hug. "What's going on?" I sit down, the tension in my shoulders refusing to ease. "Justin's a player," I say bluntly, diving straight into it. "James caught him with another woman last night. Megan's been played just as much as I have." Greg's eyes widen, and he lets out a low whistle. "You're kidding. This guy is messing with both of you?" "Yeah," I say, my jaw tightening. "Megan has no idea. She thinks she's found something real, but he's just using her like he's used other women before." Greg leans back in his chair, shaking his head. "Man, that's a whole new level of messed up. So what's the plan now?" I take a deep breath, the weight of it all settling on me again. "I need to confront her," I say, "but not until I'm ready. Not until I have everything lined up, every bit of leverage I need." Greg nods, his expression serious. "I'm here for whatever you need, man. You want me there when it goes down?" I shake my head. "No, I have to do this alone, but I'll keep you in the loop." We sit there in silence for a moment, the reality of the situation sinking in. The confrontation is coming, and the fallout will be messy, but I'm determined to come out of this stronger. Megan and Justin made their choices, and soon enough, they'll have to face the consequences. Greg and I finish our coffee, and he gives me a solid pat on the back before we part ways. "Stay strong, man," he says, his voice full of genuine concern. "Remember, you're not alone in this." "I know," I reply, grateful for his unwavering support. It means more than I can express, especially when everything around me feels so uncertain. We part ways, and I head back to my car, the plan for the confrontation growing clearer in my mind. It's going to be difficult, but it's necessary. I drive home, rehearsing what I'm going to say to Megan when the time comes. Each word feels heavy, but they need to be said. She has to face the reality of what she's done, and I have to face the reality that our marriage is over. The thought stings, but it's the only way forward. When I get home, the house feels emptier than ever. I spend the next few hours gathering documents, securing my finances, and making sure everything is in order. Alex's advice rings in my head, and I follow it to the letter, making sure there are no loose ends that Megan or her affair could use against me. Just as I'm finishing up, my phone buzzes with a new text. It's from James. "Got more info on Justin. Call me when you can." I don't waste any time. I dial his number, and he picks up on the first ring. "Tyler," he says, his tone serious. "I've been digging deeper into Justin's background, and it's worse than we thought." My heart sinks. "Worse how?" James sighs. "Turns out, he's been involved in more than just affairs. There are rumors about him manipulating women for money, conning them into financial situations that benefit him. He's had legal trouble before, but nothing ever stuck. He's slick, knows how to cover his tracks." I grip the phone tighter. "So Megan could be a target too," I say, my voice low. "Exactly," James confirms. "If she's been financially supporting him or giving him access to anything, it could get messy. You need to be prepared for that possibility." My stomach churns at the thought. Megan's betrayal was bad enough, but the idea of her being used and manipulated in even deeper ways is horrifying. Part of me wants to confront Justin directly, to make him pay for what he's done, but I know that's not the smart move. I need to stay focused, keep my emotions in check. "Thanks for letting me know," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. I'll be careful. James hesitates for a moment. Be careful, Tyler, he says. Guys like Justin are dangerous, not just because of what they do, but because of how they operate. Don't underestimate him. I won't, I promise, ending the call. I lean back in my chair, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. Megan isn't just a cheater. She might also be a victim, wrapped up in something far more complicated and dangerous than she realizes. The anger and betrayal mix with a twisted sense of protectiveness, and I feel trapped between wanting to see her face the consequences of her choices and wanting to shield her from this predator she's fallen for. But whatever happens, I know one thing for sure. Justin won't get away with this, not if I can help it. Later that evening, I'm sitting in the living room, staring at the clock. Megan will be home any minute, and the anticipation is suffocating. I rehearse my words one more time, making sure I'm ready. The confrontation has to be firm, controlled, and decisive. There's no room for wavering or letting emotions take over. The front door opens, and Megan steps inside, her heels clicking softly on the floor. She looks tired, her smile small but present. Hey, she greets me, setting her purse down. How was your day? I stand, my heart pounding but my face calm. We need to talk, I say, my voice steady. She freezes, her hand still on her purse strap. Her eyes widen slightly, and I see a flash of fear there. Talk? She repeats, her voice wavering. About what? I take a deep breath, my resolve hardening. About us. About everything. Her face pales, and I know she realizes that her lies have finally caught up with her. The moment I've dreaded and prepared for is finally here, and there's no turning back. Megan's face drains of color, her hands trembling slightly as she lets go of her purse. It's a small, almost imperceptible motion, but I catch it. The fear in her eyes makes my stomach churn, but I push the emotion aside. I need to stay strong, to keep my focus. This isn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This is about confronting the web of lies she's spun around us. Tyler, she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. What's going on? I motion for her to sit, my expression blank and unyielding. Take a seat, Megan. We need to have an honest conversation, and I'm done with pretending everything is fine. Her eyes search mine, and I can see the panic setting in. She hesitates, but finally she makes her way to the couch, sitting stiffly on the edge of the cushion. I remain standing, needing the advantage of being above her. It's a small psychological trick, but right now, I need every bit of strength I can muster. I cross my arms, my voice firm. How long? I ask, the question slicing through the silence like a knife. Her eyes widen. What do you mean? She stammers, but there's no conviction in her voice. She knows exactly what I mean. I take a step closer, my jaw clenching. How long have you been seeing him? How long have you been lying to me? Megan's face crumples, and she shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. Tyler, don't. I cut her off, my voice harsh. Don't insult me by denying it. I know everything, Megan. I've seen the proof. The hotels, the cafe, the lies. I have evidence, and I'm done playing this game. Her tears spill over, and she buries her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. It's a sight that might have broken me once, that might have made me want to comfort her. But now, all I feel is cold, hard anger. I never meant to hurt you, she chokes out, her voice muffled. I was lost, and you never meant to hurt me? I echo, my voice rising. Do you even hear yourself? You didn't just hurt me, Megan. You shattered everything we built together. You lied, you cheated, and for what? For some thrill? For someone who's using you. Her head snaps up, confusion clouding her tear-streaked face. What are you talking about? I grip the back of the armchair, my knuckles white. Justin, I say, spitting out the name like it's poison. The man you've been risking everything for. He's not who you think he is, Megan. He's a manipulator, a con artist who's used women before. He's not in this for love or commitment. He's in this to get what he can and move on. Her eyes widen further, and she looks genuinely stunned. That's not true, she whispers, her voice breaking. You're lying. I shake my head, the anger and disbelief coursing through me. I have proof, I snap. The private investigator I hired dug up everything on him. He's done this before, Megan. You're just another victim in his game. She clutches at her chest, the weight of my words hitting her like a physical blow. No, she breathes, shaking her head desperately. No, that can't be true. I watch her crumble, a part of me feeling sickened by her devastation. But another part of me, one that's still raw and angry, can't help but think that she deserves this moment. She deserves to know the consequences of her choices, the reality of what she threw our marriage away for. Believe it, I say, my voice cold, because it's the truth. And now, thanks to your choices, we're both paying the price. Megan's sobs echo through the room, and for a brief moment, I feel a pang of pity. But I can't let it soften me. I can't afford to be weak now, not after everything she's done. I turn away, needing space from the whirlwind of emotions threatening to drown me. I hear her get up, her footsteps hesitant as she comes closer. Tyler, she pleads, her voice cracking. Please let me explain. I spin around, the anger flaring again. Explain? I say, my voice dripping with disbelief. What could you possibly say that would change any of this? That would make me forget the betrayal, the lies, the nights I wondered if I was losing my mind because you were sneaking around behind my back? She reaches for me, her hands trembling. I was lost, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. I felt so disconnected, so empty. I made a horrible mistake, but I never stopped loving you. I step back, out of her reach, my heart hardening. Love? I echo, my voice bitter. You call this love? Because I sure as hell don't. You don't destroy the person you love, Megan. You don't lie to them, cheat on them, and throw away everything you promised. Her sobs grow louder, and she sinks to her knees, crumpling under the weight of her guilt and the truth I've laid bare. But I don't move to comfort her. I can't. The love I had for her feels so far away, buried under layers of betrayal and anger. I turn away, the confrontation leaving me feeling drained but resolute. I've said my piece, and now it's time to take back control of my life. Megan's sobs echo through the house, a raw, desperate sound that tugs at the remnants of my heart. But I can't let myself feel pity. Not now. Not when she's the one who tore everything apart. I step back, keeping the emotional distance between us as wide as I can, even as she kneels there, broken and vulnerable. Please, she chokes out, clutching at her chest as if the pain is physical. Please, Tyler, I made a mistake. I didn't know how to deal with everything. I was lost, but I never meant for it to go this far. I cross my arms, trying to stay composed. The anger is still there, simmering, but now it's mixed with exhaustion. How convenient, I say bitterly. You were lost, so you found comfort in another man's arms? Do you have any idea what you've put me through? The lies, the gaslighting, the humiliation? I trusted you, Megan. Her eyes are wide and red, and she looks like she's on the brink of breaking apart completely. I know, she whispers, her voice hoarse. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I didn't realize he was. I thought he loved me. I shake my head, disbelief and frustration flooding me. You were willing to destroy our life for someone who was just using you. And now you want me to feel sorry for you? She flinches, her shoulders shaking with sobs. I don't want your pity, she cries. I don't know what I was thinking. It felt like everything was slipping away, and I didn't know how to fix it. I take a step back, my head spinning. Her excuses, her regret. It all feels too little, too late. The betrayal is a wound that cuts too deep, and I don't know if it will ever heal. Megan stands slowly, wiping her tears with shaking hands. What do we do now? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. Do we even have a chance to fix this? I stare at her, feeling the weight of that question. Do we have a chance? Is there anything left to salvage? The part of me that once loved her, that built a life with her, wants to cling to the hope that things can go back to the way they were. But I know better. The trust is shattered, and the foundation of our marriage has crumbled. I don't know, I admit, my voice hollow. But I know I can't stay in this house right now. I need space. I need time to figure out if there's anything left worth saving. Megan's face crumples, but she doesn't argue. She knows she's in no position to make demands. Where will you go? She asks, her voice trembling. I hesitate. I hadn't thought that far ahead, but there's one place I know I can find some kind of refuge. Greg's, I say finally. I'll stay with him for a bit until I figure out my next move. She nods, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of everything is finally too much to bear. Okay, she whispers. I'll be here if you ever want to talk. I don't respond. The truth is, I don't know if I'll ever want to talk about this again. The pain is too fresh, the betrayal too deep. Instead, I turn and head upstairs to pack a bag. Each step feels heavier than the last, the memories of our life together clawing at me, but I push them aside. In the bedroom, I grab a duffel bag and start throwing clothes inside. The house is silent now, and I can't help but feel the emptiness pressing in on me. This used to be our sanctuary, our safe place, and now it feels like a tomb filled with the ghost of a life we used to share. I take one last look around the room, my heart aching with a mixture of grief and anger. Then, I head back downstairs. Megan is sitting on the couch, her face buried in her hands, her sobs now soft and broken. I feel a flicker of something, sympathy, maybe, but I don't let it consume me. She made her choices, and now I have to make mine. Without another word, I walk out the front door, the cool air hitting me like a wake-up call. I throw my bag in the back seat of my car, climb in, and drive away, the house growing smaller in the rearview mirror. As I drive toward Greg's, I feel a strange sense of relief mixed with overwhelming sadness. I'm stepping into the unknown, but at least I'm taking control of my life again. No more lies. No more pretending. I drive in silence, the hum of the engine a steady background noise to the chaos swirling in my mind. The weight of leaving my own home, of walking away from Megan and the life we built together, presses down on me. It's a suffocating feeling, but beneath it is a sense of grim determination. This isn't the end I imagined for us, but it's the one I have to face. When I pull up in front of Greg's house, the porch light is on, casting a warm glow over the front steps. He's already waiting for me, leaning against the doorframe with his arms crossed. The moment I step out of the car, he comes down the steps to meet me. Hey, he says quietly, his expression a mix of concern and support. You okay? I let out a shaky breath, my shoulders sagging. Not really, I admit, but I'm here. He gives me a firm nod, clapping a hand on my shoulder. Come on in. You can stay as long as you need. The warmth in his voice, the genuine care, is enough to make my throat tighten. I follow him inside, the familiar scent of his house and the comfortable clutter of his bachelor life a strange comfort. It feels good to be somewhere safe, somewhere that isn't filled with the ghosts of my marriage. Greg leads me to the living room, where he's already set up a makeshift bed on the couch. There's a pillow, a blanket, and even a fresh towel folded on the armrest. The sight of it makes me smile, even if it's small and fleeting. You didn't have to go all out, I say, trying to inject a little humor into the heaviness. He smirks, his usual sarcasm slipping through. Hey, I don't do this for just anyone. Consider yourself special. We both chuckle, and the tension eases slightly. But then Greg's face turns serious. He sits down on the arm of the chair across from me, his eyes searching mine. What happened? He asks, his voice gentle but probing. I sink onto the couch, running a hand through my hair. I confronted her, I say, the words coming out like a sigh. Told her I knew about the affair. Everything. She broke down, tried to explain, but it's too late. The damage is done. Greg listens, nodding slowly. And Justin? He asks, his jaw tightening at the name. I feel a surge of anger at the mention of him. He's a con artist, I say, the bitterness spilling out. James found out he's used women before, manipulated them for money and favors. Megan was just his latest mark, and she didn't even know it. Greg's eyes widen, and he lets out a low whistle. Damn, so she got played too. Yeah, I reply, my voice hard. And now, everything's a mess. But part of me doesn't even feel sorry for her. She made her choices, and this is the fallout. Greg leans forward, his elbows resting on his knees. You did the right thing by leaving, he says. You can't fix what she broke, but you can rebuild, even if it's going to take time. I nod, the words sinking in. Rebuilding. It sounds almost impossible, but I know he's right. I have to start somewhere, even if it's from rock bottom. The anger, the betrayal, the hurt. It's all there. But so is the faintest spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, I can come out of this stronger. We sit there for a while, the conversation drifting to lighter topics. Sports, the latest action movie Greg's obsessed with, and stories from our college days. It feels good to laugh, even if it's brief, and I realize how much I've missed having these moments. The weight of the last few weeks has been crushing, but here, with Greg's unwavering support, I feel like I can breathe again. Eventually, exhaustion starts to catch up with me. Greg stands, stretching and yawning. Get some sleep, he says, his voice gentle. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow, one step at a time. I nod, pulling the blanket over me as he heads to his room. The house grows quiet, and for the first time in a long time, I feel a sliver of peace. It's fragile, but it's there. I close my eyes, knowing that the road ahead is long and uncertain. But I'm not facing it alone, and that makes all the difference. Morning comes slowly, the sunlight creeping through the blinds and casting golden streaks across the living room. I blink awake, the heaviness from the night before still pressing down on me, but there's something different about today. Maybe it's the new environment, or maybe it's the knowledge that I took a step forward, however small. Either way, the crushing weight feels a little more bearable. Greg is already up, bustling around the kitchen. The smell of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, and I sit up, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. He looks over his shoulder, a grin breaking across his face. Morning, sleeping beauty, he teases, his voice light. I chuckle, the humor welcome after everything. Morning, I reply, getting up and stretching. The tension in my body eases just a bit, and I make my way into the kitchen. Greg hands me a mug of coffee, and I take it gratefully, savoring the warmth. Sleep okay? He asks, pouring himself a cup. I nod, taking a sip. Better than I have in weeks, I admit, and it's true. The exhaustion is still there, but the constant anxiety and dread that have haunted me feel muted. Greg leans against the counter, his expression turning serious. So, what's the plan now? He asks. Are you going to meet with Alex again? I set the mug down, my mind already turning over the next steps. Yeah, I say. I need to make sure everything is solid on the legal front. Alex told me to prepare for the worst, and with Justin's background, I can't take any chances. Greg nods, his jaw tightening. Good call. And if you need anything, money, a place to crash for as long as you want, you've got it. Thanks, man, I say, feeling a lump of gratitude in my throat. I don't know what I'd do without you. He waves it off, but I can tell he's touched. You do the same for me, he says simply. We stand there for a moment, the unspoken support between us more powerful than any words. My phone buzzes on the counter, and I tense, expecting the worst. But when I pick it up, I'm surprised to see a message from Megan. Can we please talk today? Just for a few minutes. I owe you an explanation. I stare at the screen, my emotions warring inside me. Part of me doesn't want to hear a single word she has to say. She's already caused enough damage, and nothing she says will undo the betrayal. But another part of me, a part I'm not proud of, still wants answers. Closure. Greg watches me, his brow furrowing. What is it? I hold up the phone, and he reads the message, his lips pressing into a thin line. You don't owe her anything, he says firmly. But if you think it'll help you get some peace, then maybe it's worth hearing her out. I let out a sigh, the frustration bubbling up. I don't know, Greg. I want to move on, but I can't stop thinking about why she did it. What drove her to this? Greg's face softens, and he sets his coffee down. Sometimes the why doesn't change anything, he says gently. But if it'll help you find some closure, then do it. Just don't let her pull you back into the mess she created. I nod slowly, the words sinking in. He's right. The why won't undo the damage, but maybe hearing her out will help me let go of the last threads tying me to this mess. I take a deep breath and type out a response. Fine. We can talk, but on my terms. Megan replies almost instantly. Thank you. I'll be ready whenever you are. I set the phone down, my heart thudding in my chest. I'm going to meet her later, I tell Greg, my voice steady. I need to hear what she has to say, even if it's just to finally close this chapter. He claps me on the shoulder, his expression serious but supportive. Just remember, you're stronger than you think, he says. Don't let her drag you down again. I nod, the determination building inside me. This confrontation won't be easy, but it's necessary. I've come this far, and I won't let Megan or her choices control my life any longer. As I prepare for the meeting, a sense of clarity settles over me. The road ahead is uncertain, and the pain will take time to heal, but I'm finally taking the steps to move forward. And that's something Megan can never take from me. Thanks, Greg, I say, giving him a small but genuine smile. For everything. He grins, the humor back in his eyes. Anytime. Now go get your closure, and let's figure out what life looks like after this. I head out the door, the sunlight warming my face, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I feel the smallest hint of hope. Whatever comes next, I know I'm ready to face it. Have you ever had to confront someone who betrayed you? Or do you know someone who has? Share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories. Let's talk about how we rise stronger from the ashes of betrayal.